Did you guys hear the one about the paper? It was terrible. It really folded under pressure. What's up, guys? It's Care, also known as pens.inks.icedcoffee across various social media platforms. Today we're going to look at affordable, subjectively, fountain pen friendly paper. I have before you 6 different kinds of notebooks that I picked up from a local big box store, specifically Target and Walmart. And we're going to look at whether or not these pens could pass the test for fountain pen friendly. None of these are designed or marketed as safe for fountain pen use, or, tolerant of fountain pen use. But I thought we would take a look and see if there's something maybe a little more affordable for everyday writing. If you follow me on social media, specifically on Instagram, if you don't, please do. It's pens.inks.icedcoffee. You'll remember a few months back, I did what I dubbed the stationery sheet show, where I compared 25 or 30 different notebooks to see how the paper would hold up to different fountain pen use. Some of these are repeats. There's 3 of them that are in here that you saw in that series, but I thought we would revive it, but I could show it to you in real time, how it dries, how the paper performs. So let's get into it. Now, in the aforementioned Instagram exploration of paper, I found that many of the papers that were made in Vietnam performed really well with fountain pen ink. So as I was walking through the back to school aisle in a Target one day in the last few weeks, I decided I would check out the papers and see what they had. Now, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. You will notice that this one was made in Vietnam. So I thought, let's revive the stationery sheet show and see what we get. So it's just a typical it's the Up and Up brand, 100 sheet, 1 subject, spiral bound college rule notebook. I haven't played with this one yet, so we will see how it performs. I have 5 different pens with different inks. So I have my Esterbrook SD Tortoiseshell that has Troublemaker Bantanian Turquoise in it. I have a Twisby Eco and Fine with Tatcha Earth Blue. I have the Aurora Kaleidoscopio Luz Rosa with Pelikan Edelstein's Rose Quartz. I have a Scribro Ombre Verde with a double broad nib. And I believe I have Ink Institute Electric Blue Spider Lily in here. And then last but not least, I have a Delta Duna in the Happiness resin. It's a medium nib, and it has Pilot Oroshizuku Ajisai in it. So I tried to pick some wetter writers and some of the inks that are a little bit juicier. In addition to that, we will do a swatch of Van Diemen's Encore Lost Love Letters. And then I also have an Organic Studio Nitrogen sample that I'm trying to use up. So we'll do a sample of those, see how they fare. The reality is, most of us are not going to use this sort of notebook for fountain pen art. Some people may use it for sketching, sure, and I can't draw a circle, so I'm not the one that's going to give you sketching advice. I am a horrible drawer. I love it. I love watching people do it. Simply not for me. But I thought it would be cool to see how this paper stacks up. So let's take a look. So let's start with our ink swatches. And I'm just going to use my Kakamori steel nib on the River City Pen Co. holder for this, just for ease. All right, we'll let this dry and look at it once it's all dried. Next up is going to be from Walmart, the Pen Plus Gear brand graph notebook or poly notebook in graph. This notebook retails for, this retails for, I think $3, $2.82 is sticking out in my mind, but it was about $3. And I have already done this one, just as a little cheat, but let's take a closer look. It is spiral bound. I personally don't like spiral bound notebooks. I don't know why, because they get bent. The spirals get bent. But it is perforated, so you could very easily tear them out. So we'll start again with our ink swabs. And again, already at quick glance, it looks like we've got some really good shading happening up here. And I can see the sheening in the Organic Studio swatch. Hopefully that's coming through okay. But we'll do a more detailed comparison once they're all dry. Then we have the Mead Cambridge 80 sheet notebook. And this one, made in Taiwan. And if I forget to tell you any of the prices or where anything was made, I will include it, you know, in a little diagram on the screen somewhere. This one, I believe, was the most expensive at around $8. I think it was around $8, but again, it's one I had already compared with, so I sort of already know how it works. But let's look at it again. And at first glance, we're seeing the shading and the lost love letters from green to pink. And then I am seeing a little bit of the sheening in the Organic Studio. So next, these are from Walmart, from the Pen Plus Gear brand. It's a 3-count pocket notebook. And the country of origin for, or the manufacturing country for this one is Vietnam. And then we have another little pocket notebook from Target. This one is from the Target Threshold brand, made in Vietnam. And this one was, it has little strap on it. This one was, I think, $5 even, but it is a pretty sturdy notebook. I mean, it's got a hard cover to it. Now the papers are very small, so pretty much everything is going to be abbreviated. I love this color. Not the point of the video, but this like pinky, this design over here is just everything. I'm not gonna lie, I bought the notebook because of that design. They had others that were also made in Vietnam, and I chose this one because the inside was pretty. We are all dry. Let's take a look at the results. Beginning with the Up and Up brand from Target, College Ruled Notebook, retailing for approximately $3. Made in Vietnam. Let's zoom in a bit, see what we have. So we can see a little bit of shading in our Van Diemen swatch, and you can see a little bit of sheening in the Organic Studio. In terms of our writing samples, actually quite good. You can see the tiniest bit of shading in the Electric Blue Spider Lily. Very tiny amount. And it may be more because I know that that ink shades quite well, so I'm looking for it. But all of the others are as expected. Let's see what we have over here. Maybe a little bit of bleed through on the blue and some ghosting on the Van Diemen swatch. Otherwise, slight ghosting from the writing, but definitely usable. I'm impressed. Then we have the Pen Plus Gear Poly Notebook, retailing for $2.82, made in India. We can see a fair amount of the shading there in the ink, in the Van Diemen swatch. You can see a great deal of the sheen as well in the Organic Studios Nitrogen swatch. And our writing samples are as expected. I don't notice any significant feathering. I don't notice really any feathering. Maybe a little bit on rose quartz. You can kind of see the cues a little fuzzy. But other than that, they look really good. We'll zoom out and take a closer look at the back. Maybe a little bit of ghosting on the two swatches. But other than that, you really can't even see the ghosting of the writing samples. Now this one you did not get to see me make the swatch of, because unfortunately I filmed it twice and both times there was a problem with it. So the first time it was so out of focus that you couldn't see what was happening, and the second time it didn't actually record. Stuff before it did, stuff after it did, but this just blank. So this is the Pen Plus Gear Personal Notebook, retailing for 97 cents to $1.08. I've seen it for both prices at different stores near me. This is made in Vietnam. Here is the first attempt I made. So as you can see, the shading in the Van Diemen's ink really pops. Even in the writing here, the shading pops. And then in the Organic Studio Nitrogen, there's a lot of sheen there. Very prominent. On the writing sample of the electric blue spider lily, not sure if it's coming through on camera, but you can really appreciate the shading in that writing sample in real life. So it does an excellent job of showing shading. You can get some of the haloing effect of the Bantanyan turquoise. Almost a sheen, especially over here in this area. Not quite, but we're almost there. So very impressive performance. Let's take a look at the back. This is where I did the second writing sample, trying to film it and still failing. But nothing, not even the swatches have ghosting. You can't tell there's anything on the other side of this page. And since I've already made the page, you can't see anything on this one either. I'm very impressed with this one. Very impressed. Now it is small. It's only 30 pages. But for $1, that's not bad. Next we'll look at the Mead Cambridge notebook. This one retails for about $8.97 and has a country manufactured in Taiwan. So we can see a great deal of the shading in the Van Diemen swatch. The sheening is there. It's not quite as prominent as others, but it's there. You can see it. And really nothing worth noting problem-wise anyway in the writing sample. Everything looks as it should. Turning the page. You can see a little ghosting in the ink swatches, but really not significant ghosting in the writing sample. I can see it, but it wouldn't be obstructive in terms of me, wanting to write on this side of the page. Then we have the personal notebooks. So the 3 count retails for $6. And it was made in Vietnam. I'll zoom in. So we have a little bit of shading, nothing significant, and the sheening, maybe just barely, if I squint just right, in the edges here, you can kind of see it, but doesn't really showcase sheen. There aren't really any problems in the writing samples. There's no feathering, anything like that. There's not any real showcasing of the ink qualities that were in the respective pens, but it's legible. There's no feathering. This would be great for a little pocket notebook. Zoom out and turn the page. Now we do have a little bit of bleed through on this one. So this is the nitrogen swatch. Nothing on the Van Diemen side. And a little bit of bleed through. I believe this is where the Iroshizuku Ajisai ink is. So there's a tiny bit of bleed through there. But if not for kind of the heavier swatch up here, I think you would still be perfectly fine to use this side of the page with your fountain pens. Last but not least, we have the Threshold branded from Target notebook. This retails for about $5 and was made in Vietnam. Now, the reason I love this one so much, honestly, was this. I want a whole notebook in just this print. I think that this pink print is the prettiest thing I've ever seen. It's so stunning. I love the color. I love everything about the inside. So I bought it because it was made in Vietnam, and I've had really great luck with paper products made in Vietnam, and I wanted to see if that was consistent across other suppliers, and it is. But I could have chosen several others, and I picked this one because this is just so pretty to me. I actually may try and figure out how to deconstruct this. Not now. So let's take a closer look at the ink swatches. Maybe. So you can see a little bit of the shading. It's not quite as significant as some of the other ones. And there is sheening. You can see the sheening there. Quite nice. I don't see any issues with the other writing samples. I don't see any feathering. Everything behaves as it should. I'm not seeing a lot of the shading here in the Scribo feel with the Ink Institute Electric Blue Spider Lily. These papers are small. That's kind of one negative feedback I'll give to it. These papers are quite small. So, my hand for reference. Let's zoom out and turn the page, and then I'll show you how small it is. So I don't see, there's a tiny bit of ghosting on the nitrogen, but you would still be perfectly fine to write on this opposite side of the page. I'm not seeing any ghosting on my writing here. So you could definitely use this to write on both sides of the page. And for reference, this is my hand. It's a very small notebook. Now these pages here are perforated, which is kind of nice. If you like to write little love notes or anything, or, you know, write little notes to friends, put them in your pen packages, that kind of thing, that would actually this would probably actually work quite nicely. So there are 6 notebooks that seem to be fountain pen friendly that you can find, all but one of them for under $5. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a favorite affordable fountain pen paper, or paper that you wouldn't think would be fountain pen friendly but works well. If you like this video, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. You can check out my Instagram for a more detailed review of about 25 to 30 different notebooks where I did a very similar test. I hope you're having the best day ever wherever you are in the world. Stay classic, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!